Many of the panel experts answered pointed questions about it all, including the safety of the newer models as compared to the older ones.
Nuclear is the nation's cleanest, from a carbon emission standpoint, energy generation that we have.
South Carolina Republican Congressman Jeff Duncan.
There is bipartisanship on this issue to really address, what the future of nuclear energy looks like in this country. And right now we're hearing a lot of talk about advanced reactors, small modular reactors, and we don't know what the ultimate result will be, but advanced reactors, small modular reactors, are being propagated not only here in the United States, but Canada, Poland, Czech Republic, Korea, other places, sort of Japan are looking at it as well. So we believe that those small modular reactors will probably be successful, and they can provide power for an industrial park, a small community, a larger city. They can be linked together. They're dispatchable. That means they can be ramped up and down. So there's just a lot of interest in that all across the globe.
I'm reading a piece, though, published by Stanford researchers last year saying these smaller reactors actually produce a bit more nuclear waste. I wonder what we're going to do with that, since it doesn't seem like we have a clear path to storage in Yucca Mountain in Nevada. We've heard that fight going on for years.
I look at the waste that's sitting at commercial sites around the country, and there's 121 sites in 39 states that have commercial waste. That needs to be reprocessed. France gets about 95% of the available energy from the same fuel rods that we get about 5% from. So reprocessing has got to be part of this conversation, and I consider that spent fuel at the commercial sites as a national asset, not just waste. But even with reprocessing, there's going to be some residual at the end of the day. So that residual, and also defense waste, this hits the Savannah River site and Hanford and other defense sites around the country, needs to be stored somewhere. We have a repository for that, and that's Yucca Mountain, and that needs to be part of the conversation.
Is there any concern, safety-wise, about what nuclear plants represent, even if they're small? We see what's going on with the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant being weaponized in Ukraine right now by Russia, and that's a whole other safety issue that, no other mass energy source has that I'm aware of. Is there concern about that?
Well, there's got to be concern in a time of war, and there should be an agreement among nations across the globe that nuclear sites are off limits for any sort of attack or any sort of damage, because of what they do not only to the local community and local country, but also the impact they could have on the world. We've been operating nuclear power in this country for over 60 years safely, and we know how to do it. We've got a great regulatory process for safety review, and we just traveled to Korea and Japan on a coattail looking at nuclear power, and one of the big concerns we had was safety.
Let me ask you, Republicans like you and your colleagues have been mentioning in hearings about Russia and China being in the nuclear game, and that we need to be more competitive here, that this is a big part of why there's this investment and this talk about using more nuclear modules, more nuclear reactors in the United States, and even making them. Is that, I guess, the GOP's main focus on nuclear, is that it's a reliable source of energy and that our adversaries are doing this?
Absolutely. I mean, we've been operating nuclear reactors safely in this country for over 60 years. And also in our United States Navy, we've operated nuclear reactors for about the same length of time. And we used to be a leader in nuclear technology and exporting nuclear technology and advancing it here in this country. But we've kind of gotten away from that. And we see China and Russia really try to take a leadership role and stand up nuclear projects in other countries in Africa and the Middle East and other places. That's where the United States needs to be. We need to be operating in that space and be seen as a leader once again, and we can be. We have the technology, we have the expertise here in this country, but we just got to send the right signal to the industry that nuclear is going to be a big part of our generation fleet for power generation in this country, and we know that it's carbon-free, and it provides that 24/7, 365 baseload generation that we need in this country, and re-exert our position in the globe as leaders in the nuclear industry.
And this is where the bipartisanship comes in, right? The Democrats are really heavy on the zero emission aspect of this, that this could be quite a big part of the solution along with wind and solar.
Absolutely. I mean, so Diana DeGette, who is our ranking member on the committee, leaned over to me one day and she said when she first came to Congress that Democrats didn't like nuclear, but she is seeing a swing back to embracing more nuclear generation because they understand it's carbon free. And so I think we have a window of opportunity here to work in a bipartisan way to help, bring the NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, into the 21st century, modernize what they're doing, help them not be an impediment to advanced nuclear, but also to be somebody that fosters more nuclear power in this country. And especially as we look at advanced reactors, some of which are walk-away safe and they'll put themselves out if something happens. Small modular reactors that seem to work. And we get these projects, whether it's TerraPower or NuScale or what GE Hitachi's doing, and we get one proven and show that we can modularize this and then manufacture those in a manufacturing facility, dropped in site, connected, set up, and start generating power. That's really how simple it can be.
Yeah, we'll need the workforce for that. That's a whole other discussion. One of the focuses, though, to your point, and this could have been boring, but it certainly wasn't, was how the Nuclear Regulatory Energy Agency needs to shift on planning for the future of this. And it was clear there's some disappointment on this end that the NRC is essentially failing to prepare for this. What do you say about that as one of my final questions?
Well, we had the NRC in front of our committee, all the commissioners, and we talked to them about this and what they're doing to plan for the future because nuclear is not just happening in this country, it's happening around the globe, and other countries lean on our NRC to help them in their regulatory environment and their safety protocols. And so, just trying to help the NRC kind of refocus to not be an impediment to help foster a nuclear industry in this country and advanced reactors. And everybody's watching what's going on in Wyoming, what's going on in Idaho, what's going on in Ontario, Canada with these small modular reactors. NRC is very involved in that. So what can we do in Congress to help them, foster that environment? Keeping safety first and foremost and what we should look at, but also to help foster the industry, look at advanced reactors, look at enriched uranium and an industry that we need a fuel source and lessen our dependence on Russia, which provides about 20 or 21% of our fuel right now for our nuclear reactors, and where that fuel is going to come from, how it's going to be developed, enriched uranium, high-low, or a traditional low-enriched uranium. So these are things we're all looking at and how we get the NRC into the 21st century in their mindset.
Yeah, I did hear you guys, this is my final question for you, I did hear you guys get into it about how we are relying on Russia for uranium. And Canada seems to have a lot of available uranium, but we don't have an enrichment process in place for it. Is that part of the frustration and making that shift over and away from Russia to Canada?
Absolutely. Well, Canada are standing that industry up here in this country. We have an enrichment plant in New Mexico, but sending the right signals to industry. This is a mature industry that we know how to do it, but also as long as uranium fuel is cheap from Russia, there's a price point on the investment and return on that investment and whether you can make those investments. And so, we need a domestic supply chain. We need a domestic sourcing of enriched uranium here and our dependence on Russia. And then at the same time, look at closing the fuel cycle and reusing some of this spent fuel as future fuel for reactors. So it all kind of works together in tandem.
Congressman Jeff Duncan, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time and your insight.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and we look forward to the future of nuclear in this country.